Sid here in Caballero Canyon in Tarzana, California, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic which really has been talked about to death. It's the topic of leadership. Entrepreneurs have talked about it. John Maxwell's written like 10,000 books about leadership. It's been talked about on YouTube to death. There's so many courses about leadership. Jocko Willink talks about leadership. But I'm going to talk about leadership from a standpoint that I don't see too many other people dive into. So you're going to get kind of a unique angle on leadership here. So if you're smart, you'll take notes on this video and really apply what I'm teaching here, and it'll have a big impact on your life. What I'm gonna give you here, it's like a superpower for real. There's definitely an art to leadership, and we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive into a lot of the nuances on it. As I said before, leadership is a big topic. This is one slice of leadership. Pay attention to what's being said in this video. The big takeaways you're gonna get. You're gonna learn how to lead the right people first and foremost. You're gonna learn about the type of leader that you are. Are you the carrot leader or the stick leader? And you're gonna find out exactly what I mean by the carrot and the stick later in this video. The last thing you're gonna find out is how are you going to maintain a halo effect and authority as a leader with your followers. Step number one, realize this: leadership starts with not having to be a leader. And what I mean by that is if the people in your organization, the followers or the employees or the staff themselves are A players, meaning that they're playing to their potential, they're hard workers, and they never need a fire lit under their ass, then these are individuals that will lead themselves to a certain degree. You want to start with those people that already have shared vision, that already share your vision, because those people are going to be easier to lead. And as I said, they're going to lead themselves. They're going to hold each other accountable. But from there, we're going to go into some more strategies on how to manage people and lead people. Another quick point, you start your organization off by getting the wrong people, man, you're really laying a crap foundation. And you're laying a crap foundation for leadership as well. Because you get one B player on your team, next thing you know, everybody's a Z player. So step two of leadership is you must set the carrot of leadership, meaning you must set that clear positive direction. And you have two different types of leaders, right? You have the leaders that are more on the carrot end of things and the stick end of things. And the segue of this will become obvious. The carrot is what you're baiting people with, right? It's like what you bait the horse with on the carriage. The carrot types of leaders are guys that set a very clear, exciting vision that engages and excites everybody around them. It engages and it excites their staff, their followers, etc. This is really, really good. It creates a high morale, positive working environment. It also allows your staffs and followers' winner effects to be higher. And when people are feeling good, they can work harder. When people are feeling good about their work, they're gonna wanna work longer hours. So there's many, many different pros to being the carrot type of leader. When setting the carrot with your followers or your staff, you have to realize that it starts with you, okay? It starts with you. You yourself must be engaged. You yourself must be excited about that vision that you're setting for everybody else. Why? Because if you're not excited about it, why should they be? You're the one who's setting the tone of your company or your organization or your group. So if you're not excited about it, they're gonna feel that emanating off of you. It starts with you. If you're excited about it, they're gonna feel excited about it. The next step is you must regularly reinforce that you're moving towards that clear, positive, exciting vision for that organization or for your group. You must reinforce this to your staff or your followers constantly, whether it's through your company meetings, every time you see them in the hallway, you're excited and you're talking about the vision. It takes a consistent, constant reinforcement of that vision to them. That way it's drilled into their heads. In addition to the things I've talked about here, you set this fantastic vision and you're really moving your followers in that direction. You're exciting your followers and reinforcing that vision to them. The next thing is this: realize that everybody's DNA is a little bit selfish. It's gonna want money. It's gonna want to fulfill other drives. If this is what the DNA wants, you must figure out how to lay the skeleton that appeals to their financial motives within this fantastic vision that you painted for them. And what does that look like? That looks like something as simple as setting up a bonus every time they do something well. They get financially incentivized to perform well. If they go above and beyond, they put in extra hours beyond what is expected of them, beyond what their job description is, they get a bonus. If they're consistently doing well and exceeding expectations, it could be like upping their salary. If they're exceeding expectations to a massive level, maybe you even give them equity in your company if they're really at that level. Everybody's organization and group is gonna be different, but you have to find out how you're gonna financially motivate these people. One of my mentors, he used to say, financial motive must prevail. Financial motive must prevail. And what this means is that you're the carrot type of leader. You're exciting people and riling them up about this vision that you have. You're getting them excited for that. But at the end of the day, the financial motive must prevail. If they're not getting compensated and they're not accumulating resources, they're not getting cash, then you can have this fantastic vision, but that's only going to last for so long if they're not properly being compensated. The carrot type of leader is great. Most of the time you're leading people, you want to stay as the carrot type of leader who's setting a positive direction, and you're excited about the vision, and you're constantly reinforcing that to your people. But there's certain cons that come with people that are just on that end of the leadership continuum, meaning that they can sometimes be a little woo-woo or foo-foo, and they lack the ability to hold people accountable. They lack the ability to yell at people when they're making repeated mistakes. They lack the ability of the stick. All right, so the next type of leader that we're going to talk about are the stick leaders. As I said before, people will tend to fall on the carrot or the stick, and they tend to resonate with one or the other. The stick type of leaders are more of the no bullshit type of people. They're the people that are going to want to hold people accountable, put the pressure on people, have their staff or followers really hit certain benchmarks. They're about numbers, they're about results, they're about putting the pressure on, and they're about keeping people more on their tiptoes. There's many pros to this type of leadership. The no bullshit types of leaders are the guys that really hold people accountable. They might have that mindset of mistakes are okay, but repeated mistakes are not okay. And if you make repeated mistakes, they're gonna find a way to hold you accountable for that. They will find a way. An example might be they financially find a way to undercut you if you keep making mistakes, or they simply fire you right off the bat. Another example is they create an environment where there's a little bit of fear. If you make a mistake, they might go, "Hey, what was that?" Right? They explode. And because those type of leaders tend to have a little bit more of an unpredictable nature to them, they really keep people a little bit in this fear state and a little bit feeling like, damn, the pressure's on, I better not mess up around this person. There's pros to that mentality, obviously. If you're holding people accountable, people feel like, oh, at any time this guy might yell at me or he might financially undercut me if I make a mistake. Pressure's on, I better deliver results. But what are the cons of that mentality? The cons are obviously, as with the carrot leader, that person is constantly excited about the vision and reinforcing that vision. That keeps people feeling excited, and that keeps people in their winner effect, which keeps them more effective at work. When people are more in a fear state around you, when people fear that at any time you might explode on them verbally, or anytime you might financially undercut them, if they're more in that fear state, well, their mind is going to be more suppressed, which means it's going to take them more hours to get the work done. It's going to take them more hours to get results accomplished. You're kind of taking, in some ways, the extreme stick leaders that create that fear type of environment around them. They're taking one step forward and two steps back, the extreme ones. Let's go over some more of the pros of the stick type of leader. This type of leader will create systems of accountability. Maybe they have a system to where the results you're producing are public to the rest of the company. And if they have a culture where the staff are used to say, you know what, I'm gonna bring my leader solutions to things, not problems. They have that culture where the leaders train people, don't bring me a problem, just bring me the solution to things. Then if somebody's messing up and they're not producing results and they're causing problems, the rest of the staff has such a high performance culture that they themselves will hold that person accountable without you having to be there. So it can make for effective delegation because people are taking responsibility, and they're taking responsibility for other people's mistakes, and they're holding other people accountable. The stick type of leadership has many different pros in that way. Other pros are that realize that if people aren't feeling pressure, if people aren't being held accountable, they're basically gonna devolve into mush. Think about times where you're in school and you have the pressure on you and you're getting, I don't know, good grades or bad grades or whatever, but you have pressure on you because of school and teachers and stuff like this, and then you go to it's summer vacation, and then it's the middle of July, it's 2 months into your summer vacation, and you couldn't even imagine what it would be like to do homework. You're just laying on the couch, watching TV, eating junk food, hanging out with your friends. It's like the pressure's been taken off. So you kind of just been devolving into mush. So people are the same way. You have to mold them, and you're molding them from the two different fronts, right? The carrot molds them by getting them excited. It gets them motivated. It gets them motivated in a positive way. It gets them engaged to work from a positive space where they're self-motivated, but the stick is for when they slip up. The stick is for when they mess up, and then you have to mold them in that way and hold them accountable from behind, right? The carrot is what drives from the front. The stick is what, boom, it hits them from behind, right? And you need both. So a lot of people have issues with the stick type of leadership because they feel it's negative, or they feel like their boss or their leader is an asshole, but what they don't understand is that person is simply trying to hold you accountable. Yeah, maybe they haven't become a well-rounded leader. Some leaders haven't considered the carrot end of things. At the end of the day, take it for what it is. Take the pros from the stick mentality and be a good filterer, and don't take the cons of the stick mentality via the fear mentality, meaning creating a culture of fear, etc. As I said, there's many different pros to the stick leader. Let's go over another one. Carrot leaders tend to not look at the deeper layer of what's not being said in their organization. And what I mean by that is this: they have a tendency to look at things more from a surface layer. So if they're looking at their group or their staff or their follower, or let's say their staff in this instance, they're looking at their staff is all saying one thing. There's a tendency to want to be a part of that groupthink and feel like everything is fine. Okay, the staff is saying this deal is getting done, or the staff is saying that we're gonna hit this revenue mark by the end of the month, or the staff is saying this, that, or the other thing. There's a tendency to want to just be like, oh, okay, that's good, we're all on track. The stick leader is someone who's not gonna look at the surface layer of things. They're gonna look at their staff and not just buy into the groupthink of what everybody else is saying. They're gonna look deeper. They're gonna look for that deeper level and layer of what's not being said. You know, what is not being said here? Because remember, everyone's DNA wants to save time and energy. So if the collective group is beginning to rationalize that we're gonna hit the certain result, the stick type of leader is gonna be hyper realistic and look behind the scenes and not just go with what the staff is saying, but they're gonna look behind the scenes and think, are we really gonna hit this result by the end of the month? Or are these people just delusional? You know, they're gonna look at the deeper layer. They're gonna look at the real layer. Lastly, one of the most important things that stick leaders do is that when problems come up with their staff members, they nip it in the bud quickly. And this is something you don't see a lot of carrot leaders do. The carrot leaders, who are more just excited all the time, they tend to want to be more buddy-buddy with their staff. They tend to want to be friends with their staff. And there's pros and cons to that mentality. It can make a better working environment, but the problem is, if let's say you have a staff member and he's messing up, there's a tendency to not want to call out his mistakes and hold them accountable right away. That leads to a lot of resentment on both the staff's end and the boss's end. As the leader, if somebody's messing up, you have to nip it in the bud right away. Don't waste time on this at all. If someone's messing up, have that moment of being uncomfortable with confronting them about it. And it doesn't mean you have to confront them by yelling at them, but you can confront them by doing crucial conversations, or sometimes it means yelling at them, but the point is you have to address it head on. Because if you wait and you sacrifice having that moment of confrontation because you want to maintain your friendship with this person, well, what's going to end up happening is you're going to get resentful because that person is going to keep messing up again and again and again and again, and they're going to think everything else, and the staff member is going to think that they're on the right track when you know they're not. And then later on, as you bring it up, the staff member is going to get confused. He's going to be like, well, you never really, brought this up initially. You should have brought this up as soon as I started messing up. Why did you wait a year in to fire me? And then you're just allowing a lot of resentment and conflict to build. What you should do is when people mess up, address it head on and address it quickly. Don't let it linger. The more it lingers, the more you as a leader are going to resent that staff member. And the more they're going to end up resenting you because you never had the balls to address it right off the bat. And last point about that, when that staff member thinks he's doing everything fine, and when you don't bring out the stick and address that and confront them head on, what's gonna end up happening is that person will keep pushing the bounds. You think by not confronting them, oh, this is just one mistake, they'll bounce back. But what's gonna happen is your lack of confrontation will lead them to keep baby stepping more mistakes and more mistakes and more mistakes. Next thing you know, they can't even do their job. They can't even show up on time. They can't even do what they're being paid to do because it will devolve to that point. That's why when mistakes happen, quickly bring out the stick. Don't let it linger. Last takeaway about the carrot and stick leadership is you gotta decide where you fall on the continuum between the carrot and the stick. And you have to audit a couple different things. What is your natural personality? Are you more brass tacks, numbers guy, no bullshit type of leader, more of the stick type of leader, or are you more a little bit airy-fairy? What is your strength zone here? Audit that and then realize that no matter what your strength zone is, whether you fall more on the carrot or more on the stick, you're gonna need both. You're gonna need both. For me, 80% of the time, I like to be more on the carrot end of the continuum. I like to really get people excited. I like to have people feeling passionate about where they're going in life. I like people to be engaged. 20% of the time, I'm more of the stick. I gotta hold people accountable. I gotta call them out. I gotta have those moments of confrontation. And I have to put more pressure on people. You gotta decide where you land on that continuum. No one can give you a specific answer on that. It really depends on you. So audit that within yourself. The next step is you must maintain your authority and your halo effect as the leader. It's hard to be a leader if you don't invoke a certain sense of awe on the people that are following you. You have to maintain a certain halo around yourself. And if you don't do this, it's gonna be hard for people to buy into you and to buy into your vision, or to take your accountability, the stick. It's gonna be hard for them to take the stick, the accountability, seriously if they don't respect you or respect your authority. So there's many different, I could talk about this for hours and hours, and I have. Really what it boils down to is this. Are you the type of person who, when you're around your staff, you dress like a bum? Or are you the type of person that dresses in a way where you're gonna distinguish yourself from a business context? Even if it's subtle, dress a little bit better than those around you. That's step number one, how you look. Number two is this, realize that it is better to be strong and wrong as a leader than correct and weak. This is something one of my mentors taught me about leadership. And he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's a phenomenal leader. He falls more on the stick end of the continuum. What he taught me is that people will respect your clear decision-making and your strong decision-making, even if the decision is wrong. They just want to see that you're certain. People buy into certainty. I mean, this really ties into how entitled you feel as a leader. If you feel like you're half-assing your role as a leader, well, then you're not going to have that aura of authority with the people around you. It's extremely important that as a leader, you feel a certain level of entitlement that, no, I am the person for this role. I am the person to make this decision. I'd rather make a decision, even if it's the wrong decision, I'd rather be strong about it and show the staff or the people I'm working with that I know where I'm going, even if it doesn't pan out. Even if it's a mistake, they'll forgive you for it, but they'd rather see you be strong. That's way better than getting the decision right, but being weak about it. If you're right about the decision, but you're super weak about it and you can't motivate those around you, even if the decision's right, it doesn't really matter. So just remember that your lack of certainty is what's gonna kill your image in front of your staff. It kills it completely. And the last thing is this, you gotta maintain a little bit of space between you and the people that are following you within the organization. Why is this important? Because if you give away your value too easily, or you give away your time too easily, or you let people into your inner circle way too easily that are in your organization, then you're killing your halo effect, you're killing your authority. You'll always have to maintain a slight distance and space from people. Now, here's the caveat to that. As people begin to invest into you, and meaning that the people who follow you begin to work really hard and work harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, or they begin to really accomplish certain benchmarks that you set towards that great vision that you set together, then you can allow them to get closer because they're investing. And as they invest, then they can have true halo effect for you. Then they can really respect your authority. But if you're just giving your time away to anybody, they're not going to perceive you as the leader. Always maintain a little bit of space until that person invests and earns the right to get closer to you as the leader. So the last part of having authority and halo effect as the leader is the authority and certainty in your voice. I've talked about this a lot in seminars, but really it boils down to a couple different tweaks. One is realize that if you're speaking in a trying for rapport tonality, if I'm speaking in a trying for rapport tonality this whole video, you're not gonna really perceive me as the authority because my voice is inflecting upward, it comes across as more low status. Or if I speak in neutral rapport tonality, very flat like a robot, it's not very engaging to listen to. But if I speak the way I'm speaking to you guys right now, which is not, my voice inflects downward with breaking rapport tonality, but it's positive dominant breaking rapport tonality because I still have a little bit of a smirk. That is the sweet spot in terms of tonality for authority. The breaking rapport tonality shows that there's a boundary and it shows that you have boundaries, and that's important for your perception as the leader. That's important for your perception as an authority. Also, breaking rapport tonality also shows that you're in abundance, you have more resources, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole different topic, but it sub-communicates many different traits about you as a leader. So positive, dominant, breaking rapport tonality. That's the first step. The next step is whenever you're talking to somebody, you want to establish authority, you want to always be aware of who's reacting to whom. Who's reacting to whom. If you're the person who's less reactive than the person you're talking to, they're gonna tend to see you as more of an authority in your communication. Step 3, making sure that when you speak, you put a lot of attention onto the words that come out of your mouth. People have mirror neurons, okay? They can feel what you're feeling. The more attention you put onto the words that come out of your mouth, if you practice this even, and more presence and attention, the more you're drawing people's attention into your words. And the more you're drawing someone's attention into your words, the more halo effect you're gonna have, the more of an authority you're gonna seem like. And then the last step is to practice divorcing the content from the underlying sub-communication or the underlying layer. Meaning, like, you want to be able to say, I want to be able to look up in the sky and say, there's a lot of stars out right now. If you look up, there's a lot of stars. I want to be able to say that same line, which logically makes sense, to a line which makes zero sense at all. Cameraman, take your finger like this, pick your nose. There's a lot of stars in the sky. Pick your nose. There's a lot of stars in the sky. Pick your nose. And what I mean by that is this: you gotta practice saying things that don't make sense with a lot of authority. Why? Because there's always gonna be these moments in business where you're asking people to do something that's way outside their comfort zone, and you must say it from a space of being the authority. You must say it with a tremendous amount of certainty. Like, hey lawyer, I'm gonna need you to work 160 hours this week, you know, or whatever it is. That's a joke. If you're gonna push somebody out of their comfort zone and it's just the time for them to work really hard or whatever it is, if you can maintain authority in your speaking, it really helps with getting that person to buy into you as the authority. It really helps to cement you as that leader in the organization. This advice is all useless if you don't apply it and if you don't take action on it. There's a lot of practical information even given in this video, so do something with it, all right? Do something with it. That's what I'd leave you off with. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscription button below and have a good night.